Wake up! It's the Sleep Unplugged podcast with drchriwinter, episode 27, the first annual Sleep Unplugged Sleep Awards. Welcome, everyone. A belated Merry Christmas as we are recording this on Christmas. You may be listening to it the day after. In my household, it was known as the day between Christmas and my birthday. So you were listening to it on a very special day, the December 26th. The December 25th was the day we got the presents. The 26th was the day we returned them. Or I always remember getting like a cool model or something growing up. And then the 26th was when you go out and get the paint you needed to paint the model. Did anybody ever have that human body model? I love that thing. You painted the intestines and the stomach and everything. And then the 27th, my birthday. And it's a big one this year, 50 years old. So this is a lot of fun for me. So very excited that you could join us today for this very special year-end episode of Sleep Unplugged. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are a veteran, welcome back. For those of you who'd like to contact the show or get in touch with me, you can do that through my social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's drchriwinter. So that's Dr. Chris Winter, drchriwinter. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok if you dare. You can also watch the show on the Sleep Unplugged YouTube channel. We post all of the video recordings of our episodes on that channel. Please subscribe to it. I think there's something like 50 subscribers at this point. Would love for you to subscribe if you would like to consume our show that way. It's a great way to feedback on the show as well too. I do try to check out the comments on there. I've got two books, The Sleep Solution, Why Your Sleep is Broken and How to Fix It, as well as The Rested Child, Why Your Tired, Wired, or Irritable Child May Have a Sleep Disorder and How to Help. So for those of you who have tuned into the podcast, and I just want to give a big thank you to all of you. We're closing out the year. I think we started this podcast somewhere towards the end of July. We're obviously on episode 27. And the response has been enormous. We're consistently in the top rated United States medical podcast, which is insane since we haven't even hit our third episode. Pulling in a lot of listeners, and it still feels very much like a family, which is exactly what I wanted to have happen. So I love the interaction I get from you guys, love hearing what your ideas are for topics for shows in the upcoming year. And I've got a whole list of them on my spreadsheet here to cover. We're never going to run out of topics. And last week's episode was episode 26, the episode I did on narcolepsy. It really wasn't even a full episode because I didn't really get into the treatments of narcolepsy. And it's been, I think, the most downloaded episode so far, which really makes me excited that many people are interested in finding out good information about narcolepsy. So just thrilled with that episode. We usually start our show off with comments, questions. I'm gonna do a couple here. First, I just wanted to give a big thanks to Dr. Patricia. Dr. Patricia wrote a really kind and glowing review of our podcast. I'm new to the podcast. I learned about it while listening to Dr. Goldberg and Dr. Geller. So for those of you who are not aware, I was just on Sirius XM radio with Dr. Billy and Hoji. They do the emergency medicine Sirius XM doctors radio show up in New York. I was up in New York filming something else and stopped by their show on Thursday. And they're always amazing hosts. They invite me to come by anytime I'm in town. They asked me to stay for 2 hours. It was really fun because we just kind of do this sleep medicine takeover of the emergency room show. And they're just so generous with their time and enthusiasm. And anyway, she just wrote this lovely review of my podcast, but accidentally only gave it 2 stars. And so she sent me this DM and said, I'm so sorry. I'm really trying to change it. I know it's affecting your rating because you don't have that many ratings of your podcast yet. And anyway, I just wanted to give a big holiday hug and cup of hot chocolate to Dr. Patricia. She's a principal educating our kids at a time when it's not easy to do that. And I told her, hey, Dr. Patricia, that's the thought that counts. So please don't worry too much about the 2-star review. 2 stars are better than 1, baby. So we really appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to say was a big correction from our last episode on narcolepsy. I don't know why I said this, but I spoke about Julie Flygar and her wonderful advocacy work she does for narcolepsy. She wrote the book Wide Awake and Dreaming. It's a wonderful reference about narcolepsy. If you think you might have it, you think somebody else might have it, if you have it, if you know somebody who does, it is a wonderful book to give somebody as they're working through understanding the disorder and what lies ahead in terms of not only therapeutics and the doctor side, so the drchriwinter side of narcolepsy, but really the life side. What does it mean to be in school with narcolepsy? What does it mean to be a professional, a lawyer, try to hold a relationship together, be a part of a family? You know, these are difficult things for me to talk about. I don't have narcolepsy. I know a lot of people who do and help them through it. So I glean information from them. Again, I think a good doctor learns as much from his patients as the patients learn from the doctor. It's definitely a two-way situation there. But I can't speak to it with the authority of somebody who has it. And Julie has it. And she's an amazing ambassador for the condition and the disease. Anyway, she started a big group, a foundation. It's called Project Sleep. I misidentified it during the podcast because I was in a hurry and just wasn't looking at my notes very well. And so I just wanted to apologize to her and give a huge shout out to Project Sleep. I hope everybody listening to this podcast will give them a big follow, give them support, because they really do some amazing and positive things. So this is a good time at the end of the year to go back and reflect on what we're doing and sort of where we're going. And I talked about this in the introductory episode, and we're getting enough episodes now where somebody new to the podcast might not go all the way back to episode 1 to understand kind of what was going on and why it sounded the way it did. And speaking of sound, in the last few episodes, there's been some audio issues, fine little crackles and static kind of sounds. I made the joke that it sounds like a fine vinyl record, like you're getting your Beggar's Banquet vinyl album out and playing some Rolling Stones and listening to that, and you hear little pops and cracks. And I want to give a shout out to Julian, who said, hey, you might find that unplugging your headphones from your mic, which I had them plugged into, eliminates the problem. And I think that it did. If it did, great. If it didn't, this is raw Sleep Unplugged. You get what you pay for, right? So thank you, Julian. I think you did actually solve the problem. So as we started this podcast, this was always something I wanted to do, but I just always felt like the time constraint was going to be a problem, that it was going to take up a lot of time. The production was going to take up a lot of time. It doesn't sound the right way. You've got static. You've got guests that you've got to arrange. So I've been on a lot of podcasts as a guest. I think it's really tough. You know, here are the times that work for me. They don't work for me. You got people who show up. People forget. And you're trying to make sure you've got a product set to go every 7 days. Adding another person and their schedule and their life into it just didn't seem like something I was ready to tackle. So I just wanted to give a big year-end thanks to my daughter, Maeve, who produces this and was really the inspiration, who said, look, you don't need guests. You can just do this yourself. You've been doing this for 30 years. You've got a lot to say, obviously, because I hear it all the time. Why don't you just do it in a format where you pick a topic and you talk for a short period of time and then move on with your life? So that's great. It's been fantastic. I really like the format. However, I missed guests. I like talking to people. I like talking to others about sleep. And I feel like there's so many expert voices out there on all these topics we've talked about. I could have had Julie on the narcolepsy episode, or a number of sleep and narcolepsy experts, Anne-Marie Morse, Michael Thorpe, Dr. Boga. There's so many, even the pioneers in narcolepsy, in terms of not only the diagnosis, but the treatment. There's so many cool guests we could have, and you, the listener, would benefit from it. However, I just don't have the time. But when I started thinking about the podcast, I thought, okay, we'll do the standard episodes, but I want to have some interesting episodes too. And we've already had one. We had the year-end buying guide. So what's cool in sleep tech? Let's talk about, sleep products that you might like. We did that in episode 22. And, to me, that was a lot of fun, like a holiday gift guide. There's another surprise episode I want to do. We'll do it towards probably the middle of next year. But the other episode that I wanted to do was an award show, where if I can't have cool people in the field of sleep that I like on, I'll just talk about them behind their backs. So that's what sort of this is. You have arrived now at the award show. And what it really is beyond the award show is I want to highlight people within the field that I care about. Even if I don't have strong personal relationships with them, I'm just impressed by the people they are, the work they produce, and their passion for sleep. Because I think I've always felt that way about myself. What I make up for in what I don't have in education, intelligence, aptitude, I just try to make up for it with a lot of passion. And it's easy to have passion within the field of sleep. So I came up with a few awards, and they're fun awards. When you're in the field of sleep, a lot of people in the field of sleep that you've probably heard of are really in sort of the academic world of sleep. They are doing the research that I talk about. I'm not out there discovering orexin and hypocretin like we talked about in the last episode on narcolepsy. I don't have a lab with, grad students and workers in there, doing cool things and pushing the field of sleep medicine forward. That's not what I'm doing. Have I done research? Yes. Is that the crux of what I do? No. The crux of what I do is I'm a clinical sleep doctor. I see patients and help them with their sleep every day, adults and kids. That's what I do. Everything else, working with sports teams, writing books, doing podcasts, secondary. I feel primarily what I do is I help people sleep. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor and talk about sleep. So there's some really cool individuals out there really pushing that envelope. And when you go to sleep meetings, every year we have our annual research sleep meeting. It's called Sleep. It's the original name there. It used to be called the APSS. Now it's Sleep 2022. This last one was in Charlotte. And all the sleep doctors come together and get CMEs, but really what they're doing is listening to cool research from other people, and maybe listening to sort of lectures from very distinguished people within the field of sleep. And this certain population of people get all the awards, the investigator of the year, the Bildament sleep person of the year. And these are all rightfully deserved. These people deserve all kinds of praise. But when you look around the audience, the majority of people at this meeting are doctors like me that are working in a clinic somewhere and are really using the research and the knowledge that these individuals are distilling in their labs and their high-level research at academic institutions and applying it to the population. And when I thought about the award show, I really wanted to do awards that sort of stepped outside of traditional awards that you might see at the sleep meeting. Not because I don't think these people are worthy, just because I felt like maybe our niche here at Sleep Unplugged would be something a little bit different. And in keeping with that, I thought, well, what would a cool award be? Something I could get to, somebody want a plaque or a certificate, or I thought about, Starbucks gift card or a coffee shop of your choice. But what I came up with was truckers hats. So I am wearing the 2022 version of the Sleep Unplugged Sleep Awards. I think we should call them the Sleepies. I'm going to trademark that today. So the Sleepy Awards. All of our winners today will receive this lovely custom embroidered trucker's hat. If you're looking at the YouTube channel, you can see it. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted a picture of it because I do have I ordered a bunch. So if you would like to purchase one, you can certainly do it. Just Venmo me 25 bucks, give me your address, and it's on its way. And you can walk around with a very niche podcast hat when you go out and exercise or do whatever you do when you're wearing your trucker's cap. So anyway, this is the award that our Sleepies recipients this year will get. But it's really not about the award. I just want an excuse to talk about these people because I really like them and am honored to be in the same field as they are. So in no particular order, I'm going to start off with the social media warrior of the year. And what I mean by social media warrior is I really wanted, I look at a lot of social media within sleep. I have a lot of good buddies within this field. And I really wanted to pick somebody out that had a decent following. That was sort of my first prerequisite. And somebody who was really using that platform for something unique, disseminate information, advocate for patients. And there were a bunch of them. Michael Grandner out at University of Arizona has got a wonderful Twitter page. He's at, you can follow him, I think it's at Michael Grandner. If you look him up, fantastic individual. Teresa Nike has a great page, Sleep Better New York City. She works hard to put good content on her page. So I'll give her a shout out, honorable mention at Restful Sleep. Dr. Afalabi Brown, really working hard to put good content out there. Also give a shout out to Sleeping Beauty MD, very entertaining TikToks and Instagram stories. And personally, this is a young woman who is both a hospitalist and a sleep specialist and talks a lot about work-life balance and how much she loves being a sleep specialist and a hospitalist. And as somebody who's old and crotchety and opinionated, I'm very interested to see what the over-under is for how long her disillusionment, how long it takes for her to become disillusioned with her hospital work and go solely into private practice or clinical sleep work. So far, she seems to be loving every minute of it. And I hope sincerely that she's found the perfect hospital that supports her, both inpatient and outpatient, because that's a hard thing to find. So all those patients, all those people, all of your accounts, all of your work, congratulations. You're superstars. You're doing a great job. But the 2022 Social Media Warrior Sleepy Award goes to Dr. Anne Marie Morse. She is at Damn Good Sleep. You can find her primarily on TikTok, but she does have accounts on Twitter and Instagram. And before you get upset with me, I've gone 27 episodes now, I think, without a significant amount of cursing. I haven't had to, I think I could be wrong. Maybe I had to label my very first episode with something because I said a bad word, but nothing terribly bad. Damn Good Sleep is actually it's an anagram. It's her initials, Dr. D. Anne A. Marie Morse, MM. So it's DAMM Good Sleep, which I totally didn't get. But once I got it, I thought it was brilliant. So anyway, I want you to follow her on TikTok, and you need to follow her for two reasons. Because literally, Anne Marie Morse, if you could put two movies could be brought together and have a baby, Dr. Sleep by Stephen King and The Devil Wears Prada, if those two movies had a baby, it would be Damn Good Sleep, because not only is she bringing fantastic information and knowledge about sleep and massive advocacy for her patients. I thought that I disliked insurance companies more than any other doctor. I was pretty certain of that until I started following Anne Marie Morse's page. That woman torches insurance companies for their bad behavior on a regular basis. And so it's really fun when somebody's got that kind of following, when she really lays it on them, particularly for their bizarre behavior when it comes to covering narcolepsy medications. But in addition to all the great sleep work and advocacy work, I don't think she's ever worn the same outfit twice in an Instagram video. And if you're looking at what I'm wearing right now, we've got the, I don't know, some sort of flannel here with a lot of pockets, particularly like this pocket right here for my, I don't know what you put in there, earplug. This is my earplug pocket, maybe. This is high level fashion going on Dr. Anne Marie Morse's TikTok page. So, you know, come for the fashion, leave with the sleep knowledge. So congratulations, Anne Marie, you're a superstar. We will be sending you the trucker hat for two reasons. One, because you won it and you earned it. And number two, I'm curious to see how you're either going to work it into an outfit or how you're going to handle not wearing it politely, because it just doesn't fit with your fashion sense. So you can give it to your husband or give it to one of your kids or give it to a patient. You can do whatever you want to with it. Keep up the good work. So she's at, again, Damn Good Sleep, DAMM Good Sleep, Anne Marie Morse. So we'll go on to our next award, and this is for insomnia advice. So if you're looking for, you may be tuning into this podcast because you know the first Monday of every month, we do an episode geared towards insomnia. You know, this podcast is mainly geared towards giving you good information about different topics in sleep. But if you're really looking for day in and day out great insomnia advice on Twitter, I think you can look no further than Brandon Peters, MD. I think he's a fantastic sleep doc. He does a good job in delivering a little bit of sleep information, sort of sleep information in sort of bite-sized little pieces. And I just think that he is a real knowledge base when it comes to sleep. We used to do a little thing on Clubhouse, and I remember having him on. He's a Stanford trained sleep doc, and he was just awesome. He just provided a wealth of information to listeners. So he's also written a book I would really encourage you, if you struggle with insomnia, to check out. It's called Sleep Through Insomnia. I think it's a fantastic book. We're going to do a Book of the Year award. Now, to be eligible for the Book of the Year, it has to come out in the year of the award show. So we're only looking at books that were released in 2022, but I'm pretty certain that if we had had this award when his book came out, it would have won it. It's outstanding. Brandon, you're doing a great job. Really keep it up. Very honored to be your peer. And I hope everybody will give Brandon a follow. Brandon Peters, MD. He's really outstanding. So moving on to our third award today, I wanted to give award to an outsider who's come into the field of sleep and really done a lot of positive things. And I call the awards the Sleepies, but some of the awards I think could have little secondary names. And if this award had a secondary name, I'd call it the Ariana Huffington Award. Ariana Huffington, as you know, a real advocate for sleep, but really has no specific sleep training, like, MD kind of thing, but really shown an incredibly bright spotlight through her power and presence in the media on sleep. And I think it's really important that we look beyond just sleep specialists to find voices that are rational and provide really good help for individuals who need it. And I thought this was an easy award. Like I was talking about Brandon's book, I think this person's book, which came out not in 2022, but I think at the end of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, could have won the Sleepies Award for the book award if it had come out at that time. But it didn't, but it's still a fantastic book. And so the Outsider Award goes to Diane Macedo, who is just a lovely person. And what I really like about her book, it's the sleep fix. And so you can follow her at Diane Macedo. And she's obviously an ABC News anchor. I'm sure everybody on here knows who she is. She struggled tremendously with sleep and insomnia. And as a good journalist, really dove into it to figure out what's going on here. Why do people keep pushing pills on me? What is my real problem, and how am I going to solve this? And she wrote the book The Sleep Fix, and a lot of my peers, myself included, were included in her research. She called me up one day and said, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about a book I'm writing. And she couldn't have been lovelier. I think I've been on her news show a couple times. One time I was out in spring training doing some interviews with players, and she said, hey, I'm doing something I'd love to interview on my show today. So we actually did it from the Cleveland Guardians athletic organization. They kind of cleared a wall for me, and we did it while the players were sitting around kind of watching it. It was kind of fun. But she's lovely. I hope you'll check her out. She's got a wonderful social media feed and does some really funny videos. I love a person who is as poised and accomplished as Diane, but really does some hilarious videos that, kind of pokes fun at herself, include, as a way to, kind of send a message. And so we'll be sending Diane a hat. Really appreciate what you do and what you bring to the sleep space. I look forward to meeting you in person. Again, you can follow Diane at Sleep Fix Method. So that's SleepFixMethod. That's sort of the Twitter, Instagram of her book. And then there's also Diane R. Macedo, DianeRMacedo. Hope you'll give her a follow and some hand claps and praise for a job well done, because she's fantastic. Wanted to give a award for the organization of the year. So looking at organizations that embrace sleep and then have success because of it. And this is a tough one because I certainly don't know what's going on inside of every organization out there. But I thought it would be fun to give this award. Maybe in the coming years, we'll come up with some more stringent criteria for who gets to win it and who gets the hat, because this organization is relatively large. But the reason I'm giving it to this organization was because they were pretty outspoken this year about how they thought about sleep. So this organization talked a lot about sleep in the media, how they thought about it, how they weighed it in terms of the decision-making process of their organization. And this organization had a lot of success. In fact, they went to the World Series this year. They didn't win it, but they had an incredible year and an incredible run. So the 2022 Sleepy Award for Organization of the Year is the Philadelphia Phillies. I've been fortunate to work with them some over the years. I think they're a fantastic organization, and I will next time I see some of you guys, I'll bring some hats and y'all can fight over them. Just like my kids, the Phillies, wonderful strength coach is no longer with them, Paul Fournier, one time gave me a Phillies strength and conditioning t-shirt. All these baseball organizations, they have this strength and conditioning t-shirt they often give out at the beginning of the year and to their players, and they're always really cool and feature dumbbells and skulls in some sort of configuration. And Paul gave me one, and I took it home, and my sons to this day still fight over it. And then the last time I was with them, Fury, this guy named Fury, he said, I'm going to give you 2 t-shirts so that doesn't happen again. So Phillies are a great organization and very deserving of the award. So 2 more awards. The next award, as I alluded to before, was the Book of the Year. And I wanted to give an award for a really good sleep book that comes out in this year. So in order to be eligible, the book had to come out in 2022. And, there's just not a lot of really good sleep books that come out by, people that I think sort of know what they're talking about, and so And if I'm forgetting some fantastic sleep book in 2022, I apologize. I'll correct it in a future episode. So there were several that came out this year. You know, Eric Prather, we mentioned on the show a few episodes back. He's a wonderful sleep professor out in California. You can follow him at Eric, ARICPRATHER. He wrote the Sleep Prescription, 7 Days to Unlocking Your Best Sleep. Fantastic book. And Eric got screwed because it came out too late in the year for the judges on the panel, this guy, to read it. Eric got screwed by his publisher. Publishers, if you're listening, you might want to get your sleep books out early in the calendar year, because the later you get pushed to the cycle, the more difficult it is for you to win the coveted Sleepy Award. But I did want to mention Eric's book as being outstanding, and just haven't gotten a chance to fully read it. A couple others out there: The Man Who Tasted Words by Guy Leschziner, British writer. It's not really about sleep. It's more about neurology. Really like the book, though. The other one that I think is outstanding, and even got a copy of it right here, is by Lisa Lewis. You can follow her at Lewis L. Lisa. Is that right? Might be Lewis Lisa L. I can't remember, but it's The Sleep Deprived Teen. You can find her. Great book, especially if you have kids. It came out shortly after The Rested Child came out, and I read it and thought, oh, that would have been a good thing to put in The Rested Child. Oh, that would have been a good thing to put in The Rested Child. So Lisa and Eric, congratulations. But this year, the 2022 Book of the Year is going to my buddy Sara Mednick and The Power of the Downstate. I've mentioned it a couple times on the show. I think it's outstanding. I think it's fresh. I think it's a really new take on the idea of not only sleeping, but resting and power states. And I was really profoundly affected by the book when I read it. I thought it was outstanding. So Sara will be sending you a hat to go with your amazing Swanwick glasses picture that you sent me, which is outstanding. You can follow her at Sara_Mednick. And get a copy of her book. Everybody has time to read at this time of year, holidays and vacations. It's a great one to take on your post-Christmas holiday with you and read it. And there's going to be a real fight for this, the 2023 Sleepy Award for Book of the Year, between, I think, the sleep vigilante, Dr. Abhinav Singh. He's got a book coming out called Sleep to Heal. Jade Wu, my buddy down in North Carolina, wonderful sleep clinician. She's got a book coming out called Hello Sleep, which I'm really excited about. So there's going to be a real battle, and just letting everybody know out there, I'm not above bribes. So I don't really care. You can do whatever. There's no rules here for winning the 2023 Sleepy Award. So you just keep that in mind. I do like sweets and coffee. So anyway, so I want to give one more award out. And I thought about this a lot, that I wanted to give an award for somebody who's really crusading out there hard. It could have gone to Anne Marie Morse, but I really felt like her strength was in social. I mean, she's got a million strengths, but social media is certainly one of them for her. She's really capitalized on that. But I've mentioned this individual several times on the show, usually screwing something up. I've screwed up the pronunciation of her name, screwed up sort of the way I was describing something in an episode, and she corrected it. I said this woman's, one of her life goals is to really get us off this back and forth between daylight saving time and standard time and get us on standard time. And I made a comment in one of my episodes that she was doing all this work for daylight saving time, which is not true, standard time. So it's just become kind of a running joke that every second or third episode, I mention this sleep person and screw something up and then have to correct it later on. So there'll be nothing to screw up and correct in this episode. I'm going to give my Sleep Crusader of the Year Award 2022 to Karin Johnson. You can follow her at Dr. Sleepy Karin. She is a fantastic, selfless, tireless sleep researcher and advocate and teacher and professor. She works really hard. She wrote a wonderful article. If you look up standard time, and do a news search, Karin Johnson, I can't remember what outlet it came in, but she just had this very eloquent essay about why we need to be on standard time. And so I just wanted to give her a special Sleep Crusader award to Karin Johnson, and she'll be getting the 2022 Sleepy Award for that. So that's it. I think this podcast officially ends 2022 and the Sleep Unplugged podcast for its first year in existence. And so we started in July. We've been going for about 6 months, and everyone, it is amazing where we are at right now. I remember talking to somebody who was doing a podcast. I was on their podcast, and they were telling me about the numbers of listeners, that how long it took them to get 100 downloads of one of their episodes or something like that. And I'm just shocked by how fast this podcast is growing, given the technical issues and the mistakes that I make and all that good stuff. And the fact that there's no interesting guests or anything like that. So I hope the 2022 Sleep Unplugged Awards allows you to understand how much I depend upon the people in the sleep field, how much they mean to me, how much they've supported me over the years, and really how much I look forward to supporting the younger people and the up and coming people in sleep, because it's been very good to me. And there's a lot of wonderful voices of all backgrounds and that are out there for you to find. So that's it. The 2022 Sleepy Awards are hereby over. The orchestra is playing. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas or holiday with your family. I hope everybody has a fantastic new year. We'll be back in 2023 with new episodes. Please DM me at drchriwinter Instagram, drchriwinter TikTok, drchriwinter Twitter if you'd like to contact the show. As I mentioned in the Instagram feed, these gorgeous embroidered Sleep Unplugged hats are available. There is a very limited supply. Once I send out my awards, anything left over in the box is completely up for grabs. $25, DM me your address, Venmo me the money, and the hat's on the way. Thank you all very much for your support. I wish I could send all my listeners a free hat, but that ain't happening. So, for the Sleep Unplugged podcast, this is Dr. Chris Winter. Congratulations to all the winners, and everybody else, sleep well.